Hello Flickering Myth family and welcome to our channel. My name is EJ Marino and we have a review today. I am so excited to jump into the brand new horror film, Candyman. The Candyman film series has been with me my entire life. I am from the early 90s, so I remember very vividly that first film, and then when I got older I was able to see the sequels myself, like Day of the Dead and Farewell to the Flesh. So this is a franchise I am pretty familiar with. So when I found out they were making a 2021 remake or reboot or sequel, what is this movie? I don't even know at times. This movie has a lot going on. But yeah, when it was coming out, I was a bit nervous. I was like, what are they going to do with a new version of Candyman? I am so happy I had doubts in my head because that set me up for such an experience. I absolutely loved this very engrossing, this very terrifying, but this very powerful new film. There is so many layers to this movie, from the amazing acting to the legit horror that is here to the fun Candyman legacy that it sets up. There is a lot going for this film. I just was sitting there amazed from start to finish at how scary it was, but also how beautiful it was at times, how powerful the acting was, but then how creepy the gory grossness was at other times. There is just so much working for this film. It reminds me of the original film that starred Virginia Madsen and Tony Todd, but there's a new fresh spin to it. There's that Jordan Peele influence since he's one of the writers and producers, but Nia DaCosta puts her own energy into this film. There is so much that this filmmaker does that I just adore in this movie. From top to bottom, this is an experience and I think one of the best horror films all year. The story of the Candyman 2021 film is quite interesting. We have an artist named Anthony. He's struggling to figure out what his next big project is. He lives with his girlfriend Brianna and maybe is a little bit of a mooch there, but hey, he's gonna figure out he has the next big piece coming. It's a piece inspired by Candyman, which is a local urban legend in this area. So diving into the Candyman lore, he becomes obsessive over it, making some very graphic artwork. He also starts this weird exhibit that gets people to kind of do the Candyman thing. It is so funny to watch this crazy man get obsessed with this, and it's so sad as well. As much as I had a good time watching Yahya Abdul-Mateen II get into this character, I was just like, oh my goodness, he is just truly getting lost into this art, into this urban legend, and then he finds out more about the story. He finds about the events of the first film. We also find out about a new local murder here. That's what I really like. They keep expanding and adding new layers to this story, to this universe. There's a mythos to Candyman that I don't think most horror films get. I love me some Halloween and some Friday the 13th and all those kind of movies, but they don't have the impact, the weight that the Candyman films do, the amount of racism, the amount of police brutality, the amount of just everything that these characters have dealt with to then get to the point that they are now. It is insane. There's so much to say in one film, and our character Anthony goes through it. He has quite the adventure, but he's not alone. His girlfriend Brianna is there, played by Teyonah Parris from WandaVision. I absolutely adore her. She's a favorite character of mine in this film. I was worried she was going to get stuck as the girlfriend type of role. I was like, oh no, is she just going to be the beautiful girlfriend of our main character? But no, by the end of the movie, she starts having her own actions and her own character. I love that. I love Yahya in this main role. He is so good as Anthony, and when the Candyman stuff starts taking over and starts infusing itself into his life, it gets crazy wackadoo, and I just love that. There's so much powerful acting being brought out by this amazing script and this amazing directing. Colman Domingo in this film is amazing. He pops up briefly and I'm like, yo, that better not be the end of him. And then he kind of recurs in this film, and I'm like, oh my goodness. We have people like Vanessa Williams, who was in the original film. She is amazing in her small little role here. I was like, oh, the one scene that she was in, we saw some of it in the trailer when she said, nope, we are not talking about Candyman. I love that stuff. We also have some of the original cast members returning. I'm not going to get too much into that because there is some spoilers involved in that. But overall, I love the story. I love the presence. I love the weight that this movie had. I loved getting engrossed and crazed by this story just as much as our main character Anthony was going crazy by Candyman. By the end of this, I was too. As much as I like the script, the acting, the directing, there is a couple things that really stand out for me in this film. It is the style and it is the horror. This movie is genuinely creepy. From start to finish, I was like, uncomfortable, and I wanted to feel that. I wanted to be unease. And then the movie dives into some body horror, and then it gets into some jump scare kind of horror, and then there's just more to this film. There's a lot. There's the ending that felt very real and brutal kind of horror. There's just a lot of elements to the horror genre that is used in this film. Nia DaCosta said, I'm not gonna just make one type of horror film. I'm gonna use all the influences around me. Do you want a little bit of The Fly? Do you want some original Candyman? Do you want some slasher movies? Do you want this, and this? And she puts them all together in a beautiful Candyman gumbo that I'm like, oh my goodness, she just genuinely crafted some amazing scares here. This movie is terrifying. I was so happy to find out it was as scary as it was. What also helped the scares is the style and the aesthetic of the film. From the weird puppet animation stuff we would see that was used to do the background stories. Then we have the use of mirrors in this film. Oh, there would be times I would look into mirrors in the background, just seeing if I could see a shadow or a figure. I love that type of stuff. I think The Haunting of Hill House had an element like that, where you would look for the ghost in the background. Do that with this movie. See if you can keep an eye out for Candyman in the reflections, in the shadows in the background, because it's there, and it is really effective. The use of mirrors, the use of the camera, the colors in this film, it is such an aesthetic joy. I was hoping this would have a visual style. I think the original Candyman has such a modern gothic feel. It feels so old school horror. The way Tony Todd is much like a old school Dracula seducing Virginia Madsen in the gothic aesthetic. That's here a little bit too, but it's a bit more modern. I love the vibe of this movie. I just loved walking into this being somewhat excited and being blown away by the horror, by the looks, by the talent involved here. Oh my goodness, this is, I think, one of the best movies I've seen all year. From being one of the best horror movies I've seen all year to being just a great movie that I really very much enjoyed. Candyman is quite the experience, and I cannot wait for you all to see it. I had a blast watching it. I think you will too. This is maybe theater worthy at times, but if you have a chance to see it at home, see this any way you can. I found it creepy as hell at home because it's the vibe. You want to watch a horror movie and hear that like noise outside of your room and go, oh my goodness. Yeah, I love this type of vibe. I hope you all do too. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up if you did enjoy, and subscribe to Flickering Myth because we make videos like this every single week. All right, everyone, let's talk about Candyman down below.